Yebo, yebo, yebo. Welcome back to my second watch review. Also, another AliExpress watch. As I said, I'm chasing the AliExpress train. This one I bought from the Debert store, D-E-B-E-R-T, their official store. Now, Debert are a brand that are quite large on AliExpress. They have their own special realm of homage watches. That's how the watch stores are working on AliExpress. What you're finding is there are multiple stores and each one seems to specialize in a different nuance of homage watch. One of Debert's specialities or homage specialities is the Seamaster 300 by Omega, specifically the one that was released in the James Bond films. So the model that I've bought is the DT791703. As said, I bought it from their official store. I paid $78 for the watch, so well below $100. I bought it on the 29th of November. It was part of the Black Friday special, and I had it in my hands before Christmas. I had it on the 23rd of December. So top points to them for delivery. Let's do an about face. Let's have a review of the watch, and then I'll come back and give you my conclusions in a few minutes. The DT791703. It's an homage to the Omega Seamaster 300. It was released on the James Bond movie Spectre, and apparently Goldfinger as well, according to AliExpress. I don't know if anything like this was ever worn on Goldfinger. So here we go, my in-depth review on this particular model. Beginning from the outside in. The outside, of course, being the NATO strap. Of course, they've done the grey, the double grey strap that homages or is a nod to the one that's used in Goldfinger. It's an okay strap. The hardware is decent enough. It's nothing to write home about. Something I found is that it's not very long. I'm going to turn it sideways. When it comes on around the wrist, it just makes it past the first keeper. It doesn't come up past the second keeper, and there's certainly not enough room to loop it over. It's a bit stiff, but nothing bad about it, just it's an ordinary NATO. Nothing great about it either. Then as we move on, the case itself, if you'll permit me, I'm going to take the strap off. The case itself is where I really see this watch standing out nicely. I'm just going to give it a bit of a wipe. But this is where this watch steps ahead of the previous one that I reviewed, the Deep Sea Homage. The case finishing really is very, very good. As you can see, a nice brushed edge over there, coming onto a high polish edge on the lugs. I always wish these had the turned down lugs like many of the Omegas, but they don't. But the case itself, really something that I've been very impressed by. Quite slim in terms of the way it sits on the wrist. Also finished nicely there between the lugs. If you have a look at that, that's also done really, really well. Coming around the back, a screw down case back that gives the normal sort of information that a person is expecting. Sapphire crystal, water resistance, it says stainless steel, so nothing very fancy, but it is a display case back, and we're looking there at a Seagull ST1612 movement. This particular one's in brass with pretty hectic Geneva striping. Catches the light nicely, but actually doesn't look very premium in person. This movement is doing okay. It's running at about 14 seconds a day quick. That's ahead of time. It's quite noisy. if you can hear that rotor, quite noisy on the rotor. And if we turn it around to the front, you'll notice a beautiful screw down crown. Pops nicely. I don't know if you can hear this, but yeah, it's a bit of a rough wind, but yes, quick set dates. It rolls over slowly, as did the other ST1612 that I reviewed. The ST1612 is in many regards an homage to the Miyota 8215. It takes the same specifications, it takes the same hardware, takes the same dials. And moving into the bezel, I really like the bezel on this watch. It's got the classic look with it's very simple with its digits. It's got a great coin edge. And listen here. Really good firm click. Yes, there is back play, about a 1 second back play, but this one lined up beautifully well. The nice thing about the back play is you can use it to get your alignment just right, if that's a big deal for you. Coming into the dial itself, a bit of a mixed bag for me. I love the graphic of this dial. I love those triangles. I love the radial nature of this dial. It's a matte black dial. It's a bit of a sandwich dial, so those hour markers are cut out. However, it's got absolutely no lume whatsoever. There's only lume on the hands, and it's pretty weak. And the hands for me also a bit of a mixed bag. So when they catch the light, they're very visible and quite enjoyable. They're beveled, but they're so shiny that if they're facing something dark, all you see are the lume plots. Now, those lume plots are filled with faux patina, but the color of that faux patina is different to the color of the faux patina in the hour markers. To my mind, if they did this watch with a really strong white lume and white plots in those hands, I think it would knock it out the park. I really think it would knock it out the park. Let's have a look at the other one that I wanted to have a look at was the actual crystal. It's got a very, very moderate dome, but look at this beautiful box bevel that it's got. It gives information right on the edge of the watch. It distorts matters, but it leaves the dial very legible. I really, really, really like that crystal. Just want to do a few dimensions. So the watch itself, now that's across the bezel, 40.9. The reason I say across the bezel is because if we come in at the back, you're coming in for 39, 40 at the most. You'll notice that the bezel stands proud of the actual case. So the case is about a 39 and you're going almost 41 on the bezel. Lug to lug is coming in at 48, 49 mil, and thickness, including the domed sapphire, 13.1. So kind of like a mid-range size on the watch. I have found that it wears high on the double pass NATO. I think it's going to wear a bit more comfortably on a single pass, maybe a single pass parachute. There we go, a wrist shot on my 7.5 inch wrist. I think it sits really nicely. The lugs do protrude quite a bit beyond the watch, and the NATO has it sitting quite high. Not uncomfortable in any means. I really have enjoyed the time on wrist with this watch, and yeah, would highly recommend it. I think it's worth the cash. So, in conclusion, what do I think about the Debert DT791703? Before I move on to that, just a little bit about the watch that it homages. It homages the Seamaster 300, not the 300M, the 300 Master Coaxial that was issued in the year 2014. That in and of itself was an homage to the original Seamaster 300 of 1957, a watch which was used by the Royal Navy for several years. So the watch that was released in 2014 came with ceramic bezel, coaxial caliber 8400. It was COSC certified, 60-hour power reserve, 15,000 Gauss magnetic resistance, and 300-meter water resistance. That was the original, the watch that this one homages. Then the year after it was released in 2015, the movie Spectre came out, and of course James Bond 007 chose that as his watch. The Spectre limited edition of 2015 carries the NATO strap, the grey and black NATO strap that this particular model carries, but it was distinguished by a 0 to 11 bezel, and it had a lollipop hand. Now if you go to the Debert store, there are homages to that watch that are available as well. So what do I think of the watch? I really like it. It's a watch that I would recommend. I've come up with a bit of a scoring schedule, and I'd like to give you my scores for this particular unit. So my scores are as follow. I'm going to score the buckle, the strap, the case back, the movement, case finish, bezel, hands and face, and then an X factor on every watch. I'm giving a bit of weighting to those. Each of these would carry a score out of 10 except for the movement. I'm giving a score out of 20. The bezel, I'm giving a score out of 15. And hands and face, I'm giving a score out of 15 as well. So here we go. The DT791703, I'm going to give 5 for the buckle because it's not bad and it's not great. I'm going to give 5 for the strap because it's also not bad and it's not great. Case back, I'm going to go with 7 because I like a display back. I love to see the mechanical movements. Movement, I'm going to give a 13 out of 20 because the ST1612 is a reliable movement. It's a workhorse movement. They make millions of these every year. The unit in this particular watch is a little noisy. The rotor is a bit noisy. The winding's a bit noisy. So instead of a 15 or a 16 out of 20, I'm going to give it a 13. Case finish, I'm going with 8 out of 10 on this watch because I really like the case finish on this watch. Bezel, I'm going to give it a 12 out of 15. If there was less back play, I probably would have gone all the way up to a 15 or a 14. I really like the bezel on this watch. Hands and face, I'm only giving a 10 because overall legibility, and this isn't Debert's issue, I really think this is a design issue on the 300. Legibility, not too grand. Specifically the hands, the highly polished hands disappear in certain lights, and I just on the homage in particular, that aged loom, it's not done particularly well, so it disappears a little. So that I think is a little bit of a letdown. X factor on this watch, I really like this watch, so I'm giving that an 8 out of 10. So all in all, scoring comes in at 68 out of 100. It's respectable, it's not a distinction, but it's a good watch, and I really think for $78 US, you can do much worse than to put it down on one of these. Water resistance on this particular watch, I'm not sure if I've mentioned it anywhere, but it's 100-meter water resistance. Screw down crown, I think it's a good value watch. So there we go, guys, our second review, the Debert homage to the Omega Seamaster 300. Thank you for watching, really appreciate it. Please be sure to like, please be sure to subscribe, be sure to press the bell notification, because this watch is going to become a donor for a build, and I'd like to show you what becomes of it. Keep well, and thank you for watching Watch Me Build.